Hey there, it is Phoenix Amore. So, I wanted to kind of dive into something that I feel people need to understand now. If you have found my blog, you see there are moments where I go straight in. Now, first of all, as most people know, in person, I really don't curse the way that I blog. Now, I get into calling people bees when they're acting like it. If you notice, it's not, guess what? It is not a gender, right, statement. What I'm saying to that person is you acting like a bee. What I'm doing is taking what men call some women, right, and throwing it back at some of the men who are acting like the women that they say are bees. Now, talking to the men, when they usually call somebody a bee, right, she's entitled, she has an attitude. So if I call you a bee and you a man, it's no different to me. To the women who are not understanding, when I'm saying certain things to certain men, I'm not, again, one of these women that I want you to look up to like, oh, she checks men constantly. That's not the truth. There's been many men that I've run across their path that I respected a great deal. When I talk about, again, the guy with the rope around his fiance and telling her all that, I talk to a lot of men because I worked in a male-dominated field. So I got to also experience that crazy machismo kind of dude and the real cool dudes that was still a strong dude taking care of home, but didn't have that crazy mentality like he's supposed to beat a woman down and break her confidence. So I've been around that. That was the whole thing working in IT. Don't think we always talked about work. These conversations we get into and me understanding very clearly. Giving folks an example, sometimes when I did certain jobs, when I did contract jobs on base, when I had this one soldier call in and I told him something, I said, you can't fix it or not. And he was like, he literally said, can I speak to a man? Now me, just because I have that kind of quick thinking, I said, sure. And I put him on the phone with the guy that I knew had an issue with that attitude, that same kind of attitude man. I put him on the phone with that guy, and it was comical because the guy said, yeah, so what Kat told you was 100% right. I'm not sure is because I have a deeper voice or what. It sounds better to tell you it's jacked up like she said, and this is what you're gonna have to do. And he said, now I'm gonna put you back on the phone with Kat so she can help you fix it, okay? And he handed the phone to me. And so that's the whole thing. I didn't get all emotional and all that. The only time that I got to the point where I was fed up is when it was sexual in nature, okay? That's the difference there. That's when it was like, all right, you crossing boundaries, and since I can't knock your ass through a wall somewhere, guess what? I couldn't do anything but cry. Like I told people before, most people who really know me, if I'm crying, it's not because I'm weak, it's because I'm probably about ready to pick that chair up and do something with it. So that's different there. Now, what I'm saying with all these things here, what did I just say? I said for the women who thinking, oh, she's the kind that always check me in. No. Even for the women who think this is about when I say taking care and control of your life, I'm not teaching you how to stay single. I'm teaching you how to be independent enough to where you have independent thought, to where if you decide you don't want some kind of dominating man that's even dominating your mind, you need to be strong enough to be able to say, I at least know I can take care of myself, or I don't have to put up with that. So I've basically touched on many different things just in this little 3 minutes 45 seconds to clarify some things about what the blog is about and who I am as a person. Very traditional, okay? So when you hear me talk about how many hats I had to wear in both marriages, I didn't like it. I'm not saying that proudly like, oh yeah, I was able to. No, I left both situations. So understand, this was somebody in that know, like I was trying to, both cases, teach you how to take a couple of these hats so I don't have to wear all of them so the marriage can work. So now everybody kind of has a different view on the whole point of this. Even some of these freaked out men are like, oh my gosh, she teaching women how to. No, I'm not. I'm teaching them how to think independently. Now, I'm going to get deep on this whole crown thing because I brought it up before a long time ago. When I talk about woman being a man's crown, right, that is somebody you should be proud of, right? So even some of the women, when you're not taking care of yourself physically, that's on you. That's real talk. You have to take some responsibility with that. I'm just going to say it like it is. Now, if you had that kind of man, because we know they exist, that is basically participating in why you don't give a damn about how you look. Come on, girlfriend, now you know I'm here with you. That's different, because you do have some men that are so negative, they make you like, I don't give a damn how I look because I'm tired of hearing your mouth. I'm not perfect, don't want to be perfect. You find yourself not, taking care of yourself. That's different. But for the ones who get lazy, y'all know what I'm talking about, because sometimes it's all dull and this and that, and then when you get somebody, you fall off for real, for real. That's different. So all these things that I wanted to point out. Now, where I want to go with this, communication. Clearly communicating what it is you're trying to say. When somebody says they're traditional, what does that mean? When a guy says that a woman should not have ambition, what are you saying? Because it still takes ambition for a woman to run a good household, to be a good mother. That's the thing that people don't understand. So when you have some of these men saying that, you have some women going, no, I know he didn't just, yeah, he said it, but what did he mean? And I'm not speaking to anybody specifically. I'm just saying, when you say stuff, be able to articulate clearly what it is you mean. Because if you are saying you want to dominate a woman, right, and so you don't want her having ambition because you want to feel in control, that's different. Now, what did I just do for the men? I gave you the flip side. It's some women that like to be just that dominant because they have issues with their father or other men that they've had in their lives, and, so now they want to be dominant. It goes both ways. Some of the men who want women to have no ambition, right, they may have had overbearing mothers, so that's their way of projecting, like, I just know I don't want my wife being as strong as my mother. You have to be able to separate all this stuff. Same thing with the women. Stop and think about it. When I talk about wheels not being round, if you have too much yang or too much yin, that wheel is not spinning. Now I'm talking masculine and feminine. Both are equally important. You just have to figure out, if you're in a relationship, how you basically interconnect with that person, what's important to you. Some men want the woman working. Some men like, no, I make enough to where she can stay at home. And it's very key, because my uncle and I were just speaking about this, about a situation. I'm not going to say who, when, why, how, but in a situation where God thought he didn't want his woman working, but he was so stressed trying to carry the load of the bills. Hell, he was angry all the time. So when this woman finally went and got a job, right, to help him with the bills, at first he was being real ugly, right? Then all of a sudden he started liking, I kind of like not feeling so stressed out. She helping me out here. And their relationship got stronger. So it's all dependent on the situation that you have. Circumstances. What are your circumstances? So I basically covered a lot in this little 8 minutes about what I want people to understand about who I am and what I'm representing. This is not somebody who's saying pushing divorce. This is somebody pushing healthy relationships. If that means you need to get away from some of your bitter friends, male or females, I suggest you run like hell, because just like I have some women who have looked at me and be like, she must be ever so bitter that she's single. No, I took some time out to get to know me. So even those kind of women I had to move away from, because a lot of them would look at me and say, I really am jealous at the fact that she has the strength of her to where she could be single that long. That woman didn't work, so she was dependent on her man. So really she was projecting outwardly, she must be bitter. She must be, because she's thinking, you know what, I'm not happy in my marriage. I wish I was like her. Even my cousin at one point, doesn't matter which cousin, knew when she said, I told my husband he better be lucky I'm not as strong. And there was a compliment. I told him he better be lucky I'm not as strong as you, or I'd have been gone. She said it out loud to me. And I knew then, I said, I get it, God. At that moment, I'm like, I know what I represent. It's not bitter. It's strong enough to walk on my own if I needed to. And until it's such that I found a person that was going to be a part of that circle and we can roll and be balanced, then I stayed single. And some of that also meant prioritizing the kids. So now with all this said, the more I start blogging, again, some of the people that keep being these little buzzards on my blog, it's not okay. So don't be surprised now if I called a couple of celebrities out because they're on my blog being buzzards. It's not a celebrity gossip blog at that point. It's somebody defending themselves, and get your buzzard selves off my blog. Now folks get it. I hope you understand why when I have my sons and I'm like, let me show you, if you're going to look up to certain athletes or certain people, which ones you say no, just because they score a lot of points and all that does not make them the best role models. Look at their overall character. Take care.